and welcome to Bulls and Red, your go-to RB Leipzig podcast. Broadcasting straight from the heart of Leipzig, we bring you the latest buzz from the club, the fan base, and our vibrant city. Whether you're near or far, this is your ultimate home for all things RB Leipzig. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's ride the Rasenballsport wave together. And I would like to welcome everyone who's listening. We really appreciate it. And if you like that pod, do subscribe to it on your favorite platform. And last but not least, I'd like to welcome the brain of the podcast, Richard. How are you today? Because I must ask you, how does it feel to be a semi-finalist of the DFB Pokal? Again.
It's warm. It's a nice, warm feeling deep in my heart.
Feeling, ooh. I love that.
Yeah, it's cool because now there are so much more options for qualifications for the next leagues, Euro leagues. But I would like to explain it a little bit later. But for now, it feels pretty good. Thank you.
Beautiful. And how are you as a person? You're okay today, aren't you?
I'm all right. I was at a rock concert yesterday, so I'm a little bit tired and a little bit bruisey. My forearms a little bit bruisey. I don't know if this correct word. And actually, I had the chance to talk to one of these rock stars, and it was a band from Scotland.
Scotland.
And they're from Scotland, and the lead singer it's a woman. And she got such an amazing Scottish accent, and I have to admit I didn't understand a word.
You still admired her. You still were gazing her up and down. You're going, oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I try to be charming and pretending and answering some stuff. But I don't know. I think from an outside perspective, there was surely a weird conversation. The weirdest conversation at all.
I'm glad you had a good time. Now, we only got two topics today. One is our DFB Pokal clash with VfB Wolfsburg, which we successfully passed through to the next round, which is the semi-finals. And we'll find out on Sunday who's going to be waiting there for us. And, of course, we will also be looking forward to Mainz 05, our next opponent. That's coming in a little bit later. But, Richard, I couldn't make it to the Wolfsburg match on Wednesday. You went there, and that was after that dreadful match versus Heidenheim at home, and we're not going to talk about that. You were there as well. How was the mood before you entered the match? I mean, it was a quarterfinal. Last time Wolfsburg was here, we not going to talk about that either. So what was the mood before you entered the stadium? How excited or not excited were you?
I was pretty excited, to be honest, and I had high expectations, at least what the outcome of the game should be.
Really?
Because, we talked earlier, because, it's like, a knockout match, do or die match, go big or go home, and sometimes this helps to unleash all of your skills and power and passion. And so I was like really optimistic that our lads would show up in that manner, in that fashion, and they did. So, we were not really spoiled the past weeks or months because our lads played pretty much shitty football for dozens of matches, or felt at least like that. So the low expectations was not disappointed, but it was the other way around. I was really happy and glad I had fun watching because everyone was fighting for each other. They were running around, especially Openda, who was on the left side and right side, deep in the center, in his attacking zone, and all the others. Even Retraida had a decent night. Yeah. And before the match, I watched this dreadful 1-5 defeat from last autumn, where Retraida alone was responsible for 3 of those 5 goals that we had conceded.
Yeah.
But that evening, it was pure passion and fighting, and everyone left everything on the pitch that he had in stock, and that was really fun to watch. So my expectations were fulfilled, satisfied, 100%.
I must admit as well, I watched the match back yesterday, and the first thing I noticed was this high intensity compared to the previous matches. And there was sort of an idea on the pitch as well, the way they wanted to play, the way they wanted to cut open Wolfsburg's defense, and a couple of times it actually worked. And they created some decent chances as well. That made me think a little bit as well, especially with Xavi Simons. I think our expectation is really, really high because the season before last, he was playing on such a high level. And we keep forgetting, or I do forget, that he was injured for a long time. And I do suspect it takes quite a couple of months, 2, 3, maybe 4 months to get back to that level. And maybe we don't do him justice because we don't grant him that time, because that we've been playing with such a small squad all the time. People were fighting, hanging in there. We were hanging on to that 4th position in the league. Now, now we're dropping down. And you mentioned stats off and on where we should actually be in 10th or 11th place. So that made me think, well, we got to cut the guy some slack as well. Still, I found there was a bit more link between our players in the midfield and the attack, but sometimes they were still on their own. And maybe they're just too fast for our midfield. I don't know. But I also noticed, and the guy who I liked or really caught my eye in a positive way was Riedle Baku. I think Riedle Baku was in that match a very good addition over the right-hand side.
Yeah.
With hitting crosses from that side or going through the byline from that side as well. So you didn't only have Raum on the other side. Now we're starting to get a little bit more dangerous and unpredictable from the 2 sides as well. And I was pleasantly surprised. Okay, Wolfsburg could have scored as well. They're a really decent side. They had some really decent chances. But when it came to that penalty in the second half, did you notice anything, or were you surprised that there was a penalty? Because everything was so quick.
Yeah, it was surprising to me because my seat was pretty much on that path that I had a clear view when that scene happened. And and me and my friends who joined me attending that game, and we were like, all 3 of us were, okay, that's at best, it's a corner. And we were quite surprised so at first I didn't even recognize that the ref showed a penalty. I think he, at first thought I had was, okay, there was some offensive foul or something like that. And then I noticed that he pointed towards the penalty spot and walking towards the goal line. And so I was like, okay, wow, what was now? It was a penalty? And then as soon as Willi Orban started explaining the scene to his opponents over and over again, and every time he explained it, his arm were even higher up in the air. And I was like, okay,
it was way up here.
It was, and the last time he explained it to, I don't know what it was, the opponent player, I don't care. But the last time he explained it, his arm was above his shoulder.
I saw
clearly
that
not
too.
the case. And that was clearly not the case. So I was pretty, surprised, and even more surprised that when he walked outside to the review area, I was thinking, okay, he's gonna take it off the board because but then he came back and it's still a penalty, and I was like, okay, come on, don't ask, don't tell, we take it anyway.
Yeah, and please just convert it. And Šeško did that in a very convincing way. Now, I of course I read about it on Wednesday. I didn't watch the game on Wednesday, and I read about it, and I noticed, I saw the press conference, how Hasenhüttl was so upset, poor guy, and I can understand him as well. And even Marco Rose didn't really know how to put it, I think, because in one way you could understand it, but in the other way you have to make it seem, I'm for RB Leipzig, I'm for that team. Now, when I watched the match, I didn't even realize that the ball hit his hand, and it was so quick, and I knew it was that 65th minute. So I knew something would happen. So I paid a little bit more attention, but it was so quick I couldn't even see anything. And the way they positioned the camera and the focus, it was so far away. And even when they showed the slow motion, to me it seemed that the Wolfsburg player had the arm behind his back. And I wouldn't have been surprised if they had taken it back. But I don't know what is penalty or not anymore, because on Saturday, the penalty against Willi Orban for Heidenheim, the guy slipped, and the contact that Willi Orban made didn't make him slip. So in my eyes, that was not a penalty. But what do I know? What do we know? And this one here, if you think back of the semi-final Germany versus Spain, well, that was definitely a penalty and it should have been reviewed. And maybe England could have been European champions after all, because I don't think we would have beaten them. So if you compare it to that, well, this one definitely shouldn't have been a penalty. But I'm on your side, of course, we'll take it. And there'll be situations when they're going to decide against us. And I do go back to the final of 2022. Hey, that was definitely not a goal, or that goal shouldn't have stood that Freiburg scored after touching the ball with the hand, that was a different story here. So 50-50 situations will go for us and against us, and this one we will take happily. But what I really appreciate is the way the team was fighting. The team was fighting, playing, also connecting with one another, trying and more and more. And Xavi did it in a very, very convincing way as well. I just hope they have enough gas in the tank for Saturday, because it's going to be equally intense. So my worry is that they left everything on the pitch, and it's hard to regenerate and get back to the level that they showed on Wednesday. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we can be glad that we didn't have to fight off our asses for 120 minutes.
True.
Well, I would like to add something, because it felt so much more natural watching those players playing football.
Yeah.
As soon as they had like 4, 5, 6 meters lawn above them, they went for it. So it felt to me everyone was stopping overthinking things. When the last weeks, every time one of our players touched the ball, I thought, okay, now he has to think what's the correct decision, what to make. Should I go a few yards, or should I pass the ball, something like that? And on Wednesday night, it was just like natural. It was watching playing football as we all played with our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, after the ball, I go a few yards, and there's my opponent. Okay, I'm gonna pass it.
Yeah,
and so and from time to time, something good happened. Some automatic or some staged plays were visible, and it felt great. And if we should be able to take that wind with us for the upcoming clash tomorrow afternoon, I'm pretty optimistic, though. I agree with you. It's going to be an intense match, and it's going to be a close one.
But it's interesting that you noticed that the style of play was different. They would risk moving forward. Is it because Wolfsburg didn't park the bus? Was Heidenheim more the team? Well, no. Heidenheim was I don't think they were really parking the bus all the time. They were pretty cheeky, actually.
Yeah. To me, neither.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's got nothing to do with what our opponent is doing.
Okay,
it's just
our mindset.
What we are doing. So and
who's that down to? Who's that down to? The gaffer? Do you think so?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I don't expect any wonders or miracles here. I do not see a turnaround or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Marco Rose is the best guy to go in the upcoming years. So because that was so partly devastating that we saw in the recent months, and I do not agree that it's just all about missing players. It's the mindset, and I always complained about the non-visible mindset. And it's just too complicated and things like that. And, Wednesday night, things were different, but I don't expect that to be that level for the remainder of the season.
Okay. It's still going to be tight, and the outcome is uncertain, which in itself is very entertaining, because otherwise, we'd be bored.
Yeah.
But we're just glad we scraped through. Well, no. We progressed to the semi-finals. The dream about going to Berlin is still alive. Well, the other teams in the semi-final who are still there are not getting easier, with VfB Stuttgart, Leverkusen, and, surprise, surprise, Arminia Bielefeld. Could have been Werder Bremen. No. Arminia Bielefeld, third tier Bundesliga.
But here's the thing that I mentioned earlier. So with those 3 other teams left in this competition, there is a pretty decent chance that the finish on 7th place in the league will still qualify for the Euro Leagues or for the Conference League, so to speak. So because imagine we're going to face Leverkusen or Stuttgart in semifinals.
Yeah.
That means that Leverkusen or Stuttgart faces Arminia Bielefeld in the other semifinal.
True. And they should progress.
And they should progress. So one of those teams should progress. And then it's just not that important if we are going to Berlin, according to how good our chances to play international football next season. Because imagine Leverkusen versus Stuttgart would be the final.
Mm-hmm.
I expect both teams to finish in the top 5 in the league.
Yeah.
And if so, the 7th place will be the starter in the European Conference League in the league, another 6th place team.
And that, of course, would open up the road to Leipzig 2026.
Yeah,
a final at home.
Finale daheim. That's correct.
Yeah, stimmt.
That's correct. And so that's why I'm really, 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 really lucky that Werder Bremen was eliminated.
Yeah, poor guy. I'm not even sure if Silva had a lot of fun. He did play. I think he played in the starting 11, but then he was taken off. What a shame. But still.
Yeah, and afterwards the match was way better for Werder Bremen.
Really?
Did you see the goal that Oli Burke scored?
No,
it was an Oli Burke classic. it was somehow he had the ball passed to as he was entering the penalty box, and then he just lost his footing. He stumbled, fell over his feet, hit the ball anyway, and that way he hit the ball. It was just not defensible. There was no way that the goalie could have made it safe. And I was like, come on, there's only one player that scores like that. It's Oli Burke.
Beautiful. I got to watch it back. I have to see that. Wonderful. Well, shall we conclude that it's great to have progressed to the semi-final, something we can look forward to. We will find out on Sunday who we're going to be playing against. And let's have a look at our next opponent.
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegnercheck.
The tiny people are back. Ooh. By the way, I must tell you, it's Carnival, it's Fasching. And one of the central places of Germany for Fasching, people dress up, get drunk, and the other things stay in those Faschingshochburgen, is Mainz. And of course, they're taken away to come to Leipzig. But of course, the most important day is Rosenmontag. It's Monday when you have the big parades in Mainz, Cologne, and Düsseldorf. But across these areas, you have them all over the place now in Saturday and Sunday. And we do have a little one here in Leipzig as well. Anyway, so Mainz 05 is coming. What's installed for us, Richard?
Before I would like to introduce our next opponent, I would like to share a story that happened in the office to me today, because I tried to call someone in Dresden, and I had the phone call past 1 o'clock, and so the call was redirected, obviously, to the center of that company that is placed in Cologne.
Oh.
And I was asking for that woman I'd like to call, and the other guy explained, "Oh no, she's already not in the office anymore, and she's off to a weekend." And I was like, "Okay." I tried again Monday, and he was like, "Monday, excuse me, Monday it's Rosenmontag. You won't reach anyone here."
Exactly, because people are off. You can watch on TV what they're going to do, what they're up to.
Well, and nevertheless, I'm going to try it again because it's
on Monday.
I know that she's on Monday because I know she's placed. She's a resident in Dresden. Anyway, Mainz 05 is coming to town. So did you know that only versus Hertha Berlin and SC Freiburg we scored more goals?
Really?
Yeah, we scored 40 goals versus Mainz 05 in 17 matches. Though, okay, 8 from that came in one particular match, 2nd of November back in 2019, when we blew them away.
Yeah.
An 8-0 victory, which just
I
rode
missed
them
that
over.
match. I missed
yeah.
it. Was also the season, I think, when we beat Nuremberg, something like 6-0 as well. I missed that one as well.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, in that 8-0 win victory, we had 6 different goal scorers. So, it's interesting because in that season now we have only 10 different goal scorers. So, it's, see, there's some differences between the 2025 RB Leipzig and 2019. Anyway, besides of that, our record in our Red Bull Arena is quite remarkably good versus Mainz. 5 wins, 2 draws, and only 1 loss. But on the other hand, the truth is, it's been a while that people actually saw RB Leipzig winning versus Mainz 05 on home ground, because it was back in 2020. In September 2020, it was COVID season.
Oh, I was there. I think
you was one of the 8,500 people.
Exactly. It was sold out with 8,500. It was a topic of our advent calendar last year. We were sitting in groups of 3. And I think Emil Forsberg was the first one to score. And it was a penalty.
Oh, maybe I did not check there. But so you and 8,499 other people were lucky to see the
wearing masks.
last win versus Mainz. Because the last home win was a 4-1, actually. It was in January 2022. So no one was there because audience was restricted. And none of the goal scorers from back in that day is still on board. So Silva scored twice. So it was like, and Nkunku. Oh yeah, that's a pretty good guy. And that season after that, in the 2022-23, we were defeated by Mainz.
Yep.
3-0.
I was there. That was so... I mean, no more champagne after they scored the 3rd goal because we drank so much. We tried to drink so much, so we loved the game, but it didn't work out. It was dreadful. It was so bad. Yeah.
And it was that season where we fighting our off until the last match to finish in 4th place. You know, it was this intense fight with Freiburg. And some similar aspects to our actual situation is that we just missed opportunities week after week after week. So before we lost that home match versus Mainz 05, we came from a 0-1 defeat away at Bochum.
Oh, it gets worse.
It's
so painful.
And Freiburg wasn't good either, but we were just not smart enough to take away the points that we needed versus these so-called mediocre or weaker teams in the league, just like recent weeks now.
I agree.
And the very last match, it's really painful. It's really painful to remember that 0-0 draw versus Mainz last season, because I think in general we played a good match, but Robin Zentner was just unbeatable. He was just unbeatable that afternoon, and we have a chance after chance after chance, and I think we one time hit the crossbar as well. Just wasn't able to get away with the victory, though we were the better team. So much from the past, back to present. Actually, Mainz 05 is ranked 5th in the league, so we are 6th place, equal on points, but hold on. Mainz got the better goal differential with plus 13, I think, and they only have 24 goals conceded so far. It's pretty remarkable. And what's also remarkable is they had got already 5 wins, 5 away wins.
Yeah.
And they got one guy that always scores in away games. You know what's his name?
Is that Burkhardt?
Yeah, it's number 44, Johnny Burkhardt.
Very young, isn't he?
I think he's 21 or 22. I did not check that. But to me, more surprising than his development is that this defense is working so well, especially now that Stefan Bell is injured. He's injured for like now 2 or 3 games, and he will miss that match on Saturday afternoon, and I'm pretty much sure he will miss some more. So they had to rearrange the defense, and the coach, it's Bo Hendrickson, likes to play with 3 center backs. So now Bell is off. Moritz Jens had to take over that duties in the center defense, and and Dominic Kor had to fill up. So then Dominic Kor is this his nickname is Hardcore, you know that because there's almost no match that he is not booked with a yellow card, and so it's not very surprising that he is suspended from participating in the match, and it's good for us.
Okay.
So that means that Bo Hendrickson is has to rearrange his defense again.
Okay.
So Stefan Bell not around, Dominic Kor not around. So I think most likely he has to replace this open space in the center defense with number 25, the Norwegian guy, Hanche Olsen. It didn't play much that season. So it's going to be interesting how if there is any cohesion, between
Heard
those.
that for a while.
Yeah, I really fought hard now to to come up with that word. Thank you. And it's going to be interesting how things is going to work out, because I think it's crucial to have a decent stability in your defense to winning games. And if you have to replace, another guy from your usual starters, things not going to get easier. And another man who is questionable is the number 2, Philipp Mwene. We talked about him I talked about him when I talked about Mainz 05 in the Hinrunde. And he is, day to day, maybe he's going to play, maybe not. Either way, he won't be at 100%. So there's another puzzle to solve for the Mainz 05 coach. And maybe Verratschnik or Wiedmer will replace him. So, there have some problems to get the first choice players on the pitch, because with the suspensions or injuries, it seems like familiar, right? And
Heard, yeah, very painfully.
Obviously. On the other hand side, they got in the important parts of a squad, they got very experienced players. So they have Robin Zentner. I think he is arguably a top 6 goalkeeper in the league, or at least top 8. They had Nadiem Amiri, long-time Leverkusen player, and this pivotal part in Mainz 05 midfield. Danny Da Costa, it's the last man standing in the center defense, long-time Frankfurt player, also very experienced. And in addition to that, they got very much talent, young talent. Johnny Burkhardt, I talked about him a few minutes ago. But for me personally, the best man on that pitch, or the most surprising player, is their number 8. It's Philipp Nebel. It's a guy who actually went all through all those youth squads of Mainz 05 and I think he was on loan in the second league for the last 2 seasons at Karlsruhe.
Okay.
And obviously that helped him to develop into a mature adult football player. So because now it's his very first season, or serious season. He was with the first squad of Mainz 05 3 seasons ago. We had just a short time appearances on the pitch, and now he got 16 starts in 21 matches he attended.
Cool.
And he is so strong offensively. He is a good burst. He is an enormous bend with the ball. He is so good because he can shoot with both feet, and he's quick, and he is an enormous, extraordinary good player in this counter pressing playing style. So, in general, I think it's a squad that has a really good balance. I tried to explain that. So it's a squad that gets a really good balance between experience and talent.
Okay.
And a good coach, obviously, as well. So how we could get away with the win here is we have to take this win with from the Wolfsburg match and try to push them into their own territory. But we have to do it with quick game. Even with long balls, it's okay. Do not go for like 60 or even more % ball percentage, because that's gonna kill us. If we are losing the ball and, the last line of our lads with very much Orban or Lukepa or Bichabu is on central field and midfield, they got so much speed and so much intelligence. It's not only Amiri, it's also Sanao. They found that guy in the J League, and it's his first season with Mainz 05 in defensive midfield, and he's just exploding. It's just incredible. Wow, what an addition. Anyway, so we have to keep them busy. We have to keep Amiri back near their own defense to not allow him to catch the ball in midfield and try to create something. He has to be forced to create something from their own defense, and that will make it much harder for Mainz 05 to get away with some decent attacks. Anyway, if we're be able to be on that pitch with that same concentration and that same fun that showed our lads, I think that could be an intense match and a close match. But anyway, the so strong defense, I think it's more it's more paperwork than it's really strong physically or as a unit. I think we could get away with some goals here, and I predict a 4-2 victory.
This is very entertaining. I got no feeling about this match. I just find Mainz pretty strong this year. They're really on a good run and also very consistent. That is something which we haven't seen for a while. And they seem to be pretty serious about getting into European football for next season, even if it is the Conference League, which leads them to our final Daheim, aber bei uns in Leipzig. I'm still going to go with a 2-1 win. My concern is that we left a lot of strength and power on Wednesday's match. Yes, we did. And then usually you don't see this. When you watch it on TV, you see these players much more up close, of course. And Openda, just seconds after the final whistle, he was pumping, same as Šeško. And I thought, oh my gosh, please don't pass out. Give him oxygen. But I really enjoyed the way they played. And I kind of wish I was there. But yeah, 2-1. They need to start winning now. It needs to happen to still have a chance. And we do have a chance to still finish up in the Final Four. The next opponents coming along won't get any easier. And this is actually, we're inside the stretch where we should get all the points to bolster up for those really hard matches that are coming on. And kind of notice as well, Dortmund is kind of getting back into shape as well, and yeah, anyways, let's just look at Saturday. So 2-1 win. I just got one more thing I noticed, and especially I noticed that during the Heidenheim game. Do you know, in the match before that, when RB Leipzig scored, they sort of had a second hymn, a second jingle. Seems like they dropped that. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it versus Heidenheim, and of course yesterday or the day before. Didn't hear it either. So what do you think? They tried. They made a suggestion and didn't get really good feedback, so they just dropped it. Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously they made a mistake, and obviously they knew it. In that moment, they hit the play button for the first time.
Really?
So I think it's good that we won't hear that jingle anymore.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you try new things like that, talk to the fans and get some feedback. And it's nice to be surprised, but you have to align expectations if you're really interested in that. Great. Well, thank you very much, Richard. That was a quick look at the match versus Wolfsburg. Of course, we're in the semi-finals, and this Sunday we'll find out who we're going to meet. And we also been looking forward to our match versus Mainz 05. And, well, it just leaves us to say thank you very much for listening. And if you do like this podcast, please consider subscribing to it on your favorite platform. Follow us on our socials. We are Bosenred. And you can send us an old school email at podcast@bosenred.com. Guys, have a great weekend. Support our team. And we'll be back next week. Danke, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs. Bye-bye.